Okay, so one of my audience members made a series of statements and I made a video on that. The statements originally were PlayStation is superior, no argument, which I thought was interesting. Then the reasons they stated was they have the best first party games, third party games, and the best studios. Now, to that I said, well, PlayStation cannot own third party games. It only money hats those games. And if you say that they have the best studios, then the reason that they're money hatting games looks strange, seeing that their own so-called best studios probably can't cut it, so they have to go find games from other studios. Now, this audience member of mine has clarified that they did not say they own third-party games. Now, you see how interesting that is, because you said in that comment they have the best first-party games, and then you put third-party games and best studios in the same category. So in a category of ownership, you threw third-party games in there. So it's not hard for anybody to have interpolated that. However, if you say you want to clarify, I'm okay with saying sure. If you want to clarify, just let us know, which I'm sure you're trying to let us know by saying it's nonsense. So here's what you say you wanted to say, or you did mean to say, which is they have the best third-party exclusives, which is a fact. So again, you're using the same, sentence structure that you use, but semantics aside, let's say we kind of understand what you're meaning to say, which is they money hat the best third-party exclusives. That statement still falls short to two criteria, which is number one, for you to categorize a game as the best game is very subjective. Some people may not like those games. So for you, the game may be the best. For some others, it may not be the best. Like when I used to talk about how Elden Ring was what I thought was the best game that I'd played in a while, many audience members in the Video Game 5 School channel said to me, we don't like that game. It's just not our type of game. So that's subjective at best. That's criteria number one. Criteria number two, even if you meant to say they money had the best third-party games, what it means is that still negates your third statement or your third claim, which is they have the best studios, because my argument still stands. If they have the best studios, why do they need to go out there and money hat your so-called best third-party games? Wouldn't the best games be coming from their studios? So their studios can be considered the best simply because they cannot cut it, and PlayStation is admitting it doesn't have good enough judgment, or its studios are not able to bring those games or those experiences to other people. Semantics cannot save an argument that is not strong, an argument that is not actually grounded at the end of the day. Then you said, enlightening me how it's scummy for PlayStation to lock down temporary exclusivity for certain games, but somehow it is not scummy for Xbox to buy huge publishers and lock out PlayStation gamers from said publishers' games. This question is actually very good, and I think it's interesting that you brought it up, so let's go ahead and kind of see what you mean. Bethesda. In Bethesda's case, they were money hatting two games almost at the same time, Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop. Do y'all remember those games were not available on Xbox? Even during the acquisition, Xbox did not necessarily have enough time to lay hold of those games until their agreement actually expired. So PlayStation had money hatted these games, and in the middle of that, the claim from the FTC trial was that they were trying to money hat Starfield at the end of the day. Well, that led to Xbox moving big amounts of money into saying, in order to prevent this money hat, we're just going to buy the entire publisher. In doing that, Starfield and every other Bethesda game became Xbox's game. So according to my own rules that I've set up, and I think everybody would agree, if you pay for the game, you publish the game, it's your game to actually give away if you want. If you want to do a freebie on the whole internet with the game, it's your game. Why? Because I'm not going to yell at Nintendo for doing what it wants with Mario, for doing what it wants with Zelda, because those IPs belong to them. So for you to say that it's scummy for Microsoft to buy, a publisher like Bethesda when your PlayStation actually triggered the events is quite ironic to me. See, let me tell you, man, we've been sitting on this particular topic for almost 2 years now. I mean, there are audience members that are probably looking at this video going, yeah, my goodness, I can't believe this guy's going to make 100 versions of the same video. Guys, I kind of need to, so that everybody that's coming to the channel can start to see how this whole conversation in gaming is quite tiring. Because I remember when the acquisition was going through, especially for Activision, The talk about monopoly could not leave people's mouths. Remember, this was not just a matter of scummy. They were saying that Xbox wanted to be a monopoly. This same individual that said that PlayStation was superior, do you remember when they were saying Xbox wanted to be a monopoly because of the acquisitions? But somehow now you're bringing up a statement saying that PlayStation is superior. So basically, those claims were probably a lie, fugazi. Maybe those people probably didn't want to live in reality, or they felt that PlayStation was threatened. PlayStation themselves felt they were threatened, and so I'm sure their audiences were feeling threatened, thinking they'd probably lose COD and have to go buy a $500 box. But they already knew that it wasn't an exclusivity play. So inside of PlayStation, they knew that this was a play where they will lose a lot of money and benefits. And even the hyper PlayStation fans, they knew this as well too. That all of that talk about COD being the best experience on PlayStation was going to go away. So this is where we stand with your argument. It's still not helping, regardless of how you want to spin it. I think you may have put yourself in a really interesting place. And they said that makes zero sense. You can't have it both ways. What do you mean you can't have it both ways? It's not the same thing. Xbox is the owner of Bethesda games. So if they decide right now Doom needs to go, as an Xbox exclusive, it's their game. What do I care? Now, if it's a game like Stellar Blade, which already had an Xbox tag on it saying it was coming to Xbox, and then Xbox, or so let me rephrase that. If say a game that's coming out multiplat, like say Wonder Woman, okay, all right, Wonder Woman's in development. We know it's going to be coming because Warner Brothers takes their games and puts it everywhere. A game that was already going to be, slated for PlayStation, and Xbox went in there and said, "Hey, Warner Brothers, let's give you guys, the equivalent of say 5 million copies of sales because they have that kind of money." And Warner Brothers says, "No problem, we'll put it on Xbox exclusive for a year." That's scummy. Because the game does not belong to Xbox. Instead, they're using it to push and drive their own agenda, which is anti-consumer at the end of the day. And for the most part, borderline, they're doing it to harm PlayStation. You would not like that. So again, the rules just changed in the case of Starfield because PlayStation was already pushing for similar rules to Money Hat. Xbox decided we're going to change it up. Then in the case of Activision, they didn't even make the Activision games, they didn't even take them away from PlayStation. So as a PlayStation fan, you should be thankful that Xbox was, in a sense, more benevolent. I mean, seeing that the Activision games are already doing good, because we know that if Xbox had actually acquired Activision, if PlayStation had acquired Activision, there was a likelihood they'll take that thing away just because they knew they were selling the most amount in terms of the units. They would find a way to harm Xbox. Xbox is looking and saying, we spent all this money. Let's go ahead and, get our money back. So at the end of the day, all this talk about mental gymnastics, it may be projection, because still your argument is not helping to show us how this so-called PlayStation superiority is over here knocking us, over and toppling us, off our feet. No, it's not. Let me tell you what's going on. You see, for the most part, a lot of people have actually, gone around and lived with this particular frame of mind and framework. The problem that we have is because of this framework, PlayStation has been allowed to just go ahead and do whatever they want to do. And most consumers have kind of taken the narrative that PlayStation is actually, that good at what they're doing, when in reality, they just recognized a few things really fast at the end of the day. However, Xbox has caught on. They already kind of always knew the gaming industry, but they didn't realize how, ugly PlayStation would want to play some games. So now that they've caught on, they're matching PlayStation's energy with the higher level of energy. Like, instead of money hatting a game, why don't we just go ahead and own the studios that actually make this game? Even a better proposition. Number one, the studio basically gets, owned. And at the end of the day, Xbox decides what they're going to do with the game. Because, again, they've said case-by-case basis. Hi-Fi Rush made its way before they sold off Tango Gameworks. It made its way as a multi-plat game. So, actually, they're much better. Because PlayStation is not interested in actually doing anything like that. Xbox, on the other hand, wants to actually provide games for gamers across the board. So, at the end of the day, anyone who's pro-gamer is the superior person. Steam is super pro gamer. This is why they are superior to Epic Games in terms of gaming side of things. In the developer side, Epic Games is also really good, but Steam's developer side is also just as good. So even though I'll tell you that, the Epic Games has a great developer side, they provide an engine for developers, Steam is just as good because they don't have an engine. However, they have everything else that a developer would need. Well, they have Steam OS. It's an operating system. It's not an engine, but you can do whatever you want. They have a pipeline that's just so friendly to developers who want to publish their game on Steam. That is pro gamer, pro developer, And so once you can actually be pro gamer or pro developer better than the other guy, you're superior. So Xbox is superior being pro gamer. And that's what any gamer that's actually out here should be encouraging, because that would make for competition to be more pro gamer, benefit every gamer out there. Thanks for watching the video. Appreciate you guys so much. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Peace out.